Hello everyone, how is everybody doing? I am Kim, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 books that have changed my life. So these are not the only books that have changed my life. These books, I picked these 5 because they're kind of relevant to what's happening right now, and it's the New Year's, everybody's trying to be more productive, everybody's trying to make decisions that's more sort of connected with their soul, trying to better their lives and trying to better themselves. So these are the 5 books I picked out, and these are the 5 books that I'm going to share with you in this video. But yeah, just putting that out there. Actually, I read a lot, and there's honestly like more than 5 books that changed my life or just really deeply inspired me. But if I listed all those books, it'll probably be like the video will probably be like a week long or something. Also, this is my first time recording a video with a snowball microphone. This actually belongs to my little brother, and he took pity on me because I don't have proper mic equipment, and he lent it to me because right now he's not using it as much. I'll be using the snowball, and I think the sound quality is going to be much better. I tested it earlier, and my voice sounded so clear, and there was like no background noises, and I'm really happy that I get to use the snowball mic. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know how it's going to be like when I edit yet, but I'll figure that out in a second. So the first book I want to show you is by Danielle Laporte, and it is The Desire Map. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you would have heard about this book or would have heard about Danielle Laporte. This book really gave me a language for the kind of planning and the kind of goal setting that I want to be doing in my own life. It's because I always feel like I needed to follow my heart. But what does that mean? Because it's such an overused expression. People say it all the time, and it's something that I believe in, but how do you unpack that idea and really apply it to your life in a really practical way? So this book really liberated me in the sense that before I used to feel guilty about not pursuing life in a way that's more standardized, I guess, not pursuing life and not living like a conventional adult. And I feel a lot of guilt about that. I feel a lot of confusion and anxiety about that. But this book really unlocked a whole different ballgame for me. There's this idea that you set goals that are aligned with your soul, that are aligned with what you want to feel at the end of the day. And yeah, it's just amazing because it really gave me a language to kind of frame my productive mindset and frame my creative mindset. It was just like, oh, so I've been a desire mapper, and now I have this whole system available to me that I can tap into, that I can really utilize, and that I can use to be productive with. And it was just like finding treasure in the chest. Probably one of the best books I've ever read, and this is the book I recommend to people who are trying to do goal setting or who are trying to be more productive. I usually say read The Desire Map and do all the workbook, do all the journaling, and you're going to find a lot about yourself. Yeah, that's my first book. And the second book that I want to recommend, or another book that has really changed my life, is Wild Creative by Tami, Lynn, Kent. This book is absolutely amazing. I remember right before I purchased this book, I was having a discussion with a friend about the nature of creativity, and we disagreed on really just a fundamental level. We couldn't really agree to disagree. So, and at the time I had a lot of ideas about what creativity means to me. I feel like for me, creativity has always been something that's coming from your soul. Being creative is a way of authentically expressing your soul's purpose. And I just feel like it's something that's I cannot say that word, intrinsically linked or just connected with all the layers of yourself. And it's just something so personal. Instead of like its creativity is like a muscle, like addressing it as a separate mechanism or something. That just didn't really jam with me. I always feel like creativity means something more. It's like a spiritual thing, it's like something, even if you don't frame it as a spiritual thing, it's just something that comes from deep within you. It's linked, it's so connected with your identity and your sense of self and who you are and what your purpose is. So I always felt that, but I never really knew how to verbalize it until I read this book. Because interestingly enough, right after I had a discussion with my friend, I found this book in the library and I decided to borrow it. And after I read 20 pages, I bought it on Amazon because I knew I needed to own this book. And the reason why I love this book and the reason why it inspired me so much was because this book, it starts by examining the sort of how we define productivity as a society. And it could be kind of dangerous to perceive productivity in a really mechanistic, sort of just robotic way, as in like, to be productive means you have to be constantly producing products. There has to be physical evidence of your work. There has to be like something that to quantify or validate your efforts and your time. And if you're not getting those products or those validation or physical validation, then you're not productive. Then you're not a productive member of society. Then you're failing at being creative, that kind of stuff. So this book starts by saying that attitude can be dangerous because you really just limit yourself from being the organic, energetic person that you are. You shouldn't seek to control it. And then this book goes into like nature of creativity, what it is, and has like anecdotes and exercises and journal prompts. So it's really cool. And it mostly talks about how creativity is like an energetic cycle. So everybody has a creative cycle and everybody has an energetic cycle. And it's kind of like ebb and flow. It's not like a marathon where you just keep going, where you just keep honing your skill and then you just control that muscle and then you can just like work out your creativity muscle and just be like creatively buff or something. So I think there's definitely like you need to sort of continue to work on your skill in order to improve. But at the same time, you also need to honor your internal rhythms of creativity. You need to sort of look at, when do you feel the most inspired? What are you drawn to? Like, what's that rhythm? What's that undercurrent like inside of you? Like, this book really taught me how to work with that and how to sort of listen to my body, listen to my intuition, and really feel my creative energies and learn how to harness it and work with it in a more organic way, in the way that's more rooted in self-care and intuition and like just allowing things to happen and instead of just like rigidly trying to control every output that I have, and if I don't have certain results that I seek, then I'm a complete failure or whatever. But yeah, it's about honoring their rhythm, and it's about a natural way of being creative. So while it's creative, it's not about control. It's about allowing and being in the space of creativity. Pure treasure. Get it if you're struggling with productivity when it comes to your creative work and that kind of stuff. So I think this book will really inspire you, especially if you're into like the whole language about like energy and internal rhythms and stuff like that. So if you're familiar with that language, I feel like this book will really inspire you. Okay. So the third book, it's called Creating Time. It's by Marney Makridakis. Oh my god, I think I totally butchered the pronunciation of that last name, but please help me out. I'm not sure what language that's in, but yeah, so it's by Marney. And when I first bought this book, I didn't actually think much of it. I was like, oh, it's a book about time and creativity, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Take a look. It's so many pictures. It's so well designed, and I just really like the vibe coming from it. And then when I read it from like the first page to the last page, and I was so glad that I bought the book, because this book examines our concepts of time, how time is constructed. And personally, I believe that time is really about your perspective, and time is really about like the way you perceive time sort of affects the workings of time. So that's really what I believe. And this book teaches you how to time bend and how to control time, how to make time work in your favor by using creativity and artistic expressions. So this book is like mad fun. Like, it has a lot of like time exercises where it gets you to play these like little mind games, and then gets you to reconsider time or the concepts of time, and it really helps you like tap into your own creativity and connect with the stories of others, and like artwork and poems and little short proses and stories about people who use creativity to bend time. And it's just the coolest thing ever, just using metaphors and creativity to slow down a rhythm of time or speed up the rhythm of time. And it's just the coolest thing ever. And after reading this book, I find myself, again, this really goes into like it really has helped me become more productive, because I became more at ease with time, and I became more fluid and flexible with time. I learned that time can be flexible and time can be worked. So this book really changed the way I work and the way I perceive time. It's not just something so linear and dull and boring and constraining. It's something fluid and organic. You can sort of time bend with your imagination, and I think that's kind of cool. So the first three books are sort of mostly have to do with productivity and creativity and work rhythms and that kind of stuff. So the two other books that I want to recommend are mostly about relationships, energy, inner work, health, well-being. So the fourth book I'm going to recommend is called The Energies of Love, and this is the cover. And if you have a copy, or if you're going to purchase the copy, I'm just going to let you know that the paper quality is really, really good. So this book, oh my god, so this book is beyond, like, it's not just a book about relationships. It's about energy and working with emotional blockages and emotional stress. So the reason why I love this book is because it sort of identifies your energy type, and it's kind of like a personality test, but this one is for like an energy quiz. You answer questions and you figure out what type of energy response you would have when you're under emotional stress when it comes to relationships. So I found that was a really interesting perspective, to look at who you are as a person, look at your identity and your behavioral patterns and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So this book changed my life because the one big thing that I want to share with you from this book is energetic tapping. So it kind of talks about pressure points in certain parts of your body, and then by bringing up a certain emotion that's blocking you, and by putting pressure on certain pressure points on your body, you can actually physically release those energy. And that's the coolest thing ever, because I tried it and it works. So if you're interested, you can look up this book and just go check out these authors on their, search up their names on their YouTube. This book just talks so much about relationships, working with your emotions in relationship, working with your partner relationship, how to troubleshoot and how to form a pact, or kind of just help you form a system with your partner when it comes to dealing with relationship issues, when you have disagreements, when you're fighting, or when you can settle your differences and stuff like that. It really has a lot of practical advice when it comes to how to communicate with your partner and how to communicate with your partner using energetic techniques and that kind of stuff. The back cover says, "The Energies of Love is a powerful resource for anyone who wishes to strengthen the bond they have with their partner and maintain the spark that keeps a relationship exciting." So I really like the word resource, because this book is really just full of resources, like full of stories and diagrams and pictures that teach you where the pressure points are, exercises and systems that can help you communicate with your partner better, and it has lots of like anecdotes and descriptions of energy. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, like I believe Donna, the author, is a clairvoyant, so she could actually see colors or see the aura, see people's auras. So she writes a lot about that in here too. So I just find that's really interesting how, there are so many practical advices in here about how to work through issues in a relationship, but it also has a really refreshing, energetic perspective on it. So this is a really great book if you're looking for like a book on relationships and also that has a spiritual and energetic perspective. I highly recommend this book. So the fifth book that I want to share you is called Anatomy of Spirit, and this book I know has been around for a long time. It's by Myss, and she's just awesome. And I like this book because even though this book is written in a kind of like a academic way, it's presented like a research paper, but it doesn't get boring at all, because I find that sometimes when I read spiritual books that are written in a more scientific or academic way, the way they present information is like, it's almost like writing an essay, like you have your thesis and then like you introduce your anecdotes and you conclude and blah 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 and that kind of stuff. So like kind of formulaic way of presenting information. Sometimes I get too bored by it, but this book actually is not, it didn't bore me at all when I read it. And basically it talks about the 7 chakra centers and how each of them relates to your how it relates to your physical dimension, your physical health, and then your emotional dimension, your emotional health, and then your spiritual health. So one of the quotes that I really like, that really resonated with me from this book is your biography becomes your biology. So the stories that you tell about yourself, the stories that you engage with others, the stories that you continue to live, they also become reflected in your physical health as well, because our body is sort of like, a lot of times we get sick because it's symbolic, it's a physical reflection of what's going on deep down inside on a soul level, and that's our body, that's our body's way of letting us know that you're sick, and it's not just your body, it's also like your soul. And it just really, it's an amazing book that kind of talks about energy and how energy works, and how those stories could gravitate towards one of the energy centers and manifest as a sickness. And it's about addressing your illnesses, and then from the root level, from your spirit level, basically. And it's just really, really cool. Really changed a lot of my perspectives on health. I think this book really puts a lot of responsibility on us when it comes to our own well-being. Like, health is not just the health of your body, it's about your mind, your body, and your spirit. Everything is together, everything is connected. And this is what and this book really gave me a lot of insight about that, and really gave me a lot of great stories and a lot of great wisdom, and a lot of journal questions and sort of questions / prompts, and to, you know, inspire me, to make me think more on my own life and think more on my own health. So I really, really enjoyed this book, and this is definitely, I recommend this book if you're looking into like books that will help you improve your life, and this is definitely a must-have. So yeah, these are the 5 books that have changed my life, and like I said, these are not the only 5 books that have changed my life, but for the time being, these are the 5 books that I picked, and I will definitely be making more of these book recommendations videos, so consider this like a first wave of book recommendations in which I joyfully shove books just up to your faces. So just to show you how, just to share with you the joy of reading and being a nerd and being like a bookworm and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books, and let me know if you're gonna check out any of these books, and if you have questions about any of these books, I would be happy to answer them. You know, I'll just let you know what I think if you're wondering about what the experience is like. And let me know what are the books that you really enjoyed, and what are the books that really changed your life, maybe in the genre of like productivity books or wellness books or spiritual books. So what are some of the books that changed your life, and maybe what are some of the books that you feel like I should check out and I didn't mention, and let me know in the comments. And yeah, so until next time, guys, meanwhile, always remember to be the hero of your own story. And with that, I am out.